Just about any time I share anything from my garden, I get asked the same question. Hey, how do you make those arched trellises? So today, we're gonna show you. When we first started planning our garden, I knew that we were going to be doing raised beds. And in that, I wanted to make sure that we were able to utilize the space as much as possible. I'd seen a thing on Pinterest where someone built an arch out of some fencing. But I knew I wanted to be able to plant some heavy stuff like melons. And I got to thinking about what we had around our farm, and I knew we had some cattle panels, which led to this. So how much does a trellis like this cost? First, you need a cattle panel, which they are 18 feet long. They are around $20 to $25. You can call around to find the best deal. We found one particular place here in town that has them for $19.99, which is about $6 cheaper than some of the other local feed stores. And if you're gonna be buying several of them, that adds up. The other thing you're gonna need is 2 T-posts, also something that varies store by store, but you know, on the high end, you're looking at about $5 each. We use 6-foot T-posts for these, but you could do, you know, you could use a 7-foot or a 5-foot, it would probably work just about the same. And the last thing you need is some zip ties. You could also probably use some sort of fastener, but zip ties are cheap and easy, and we've had these on here for 2 seasons now and they haven't failed us yet. Another benefit of zip ties is that they are very easy to take down, so if you want to move the arch, you can do that. So all in all, what you're looking at for one of these arch trellises is something around the range of $30 to $35. Pretty affordable, really. Also, you'll notice that our cattle panels are in raised beds, which means that they're about a foot off the ground to start with. So as you can see, our arches are a lot higher up based on my lovely models here. These are 6-foot plus men, and there's plenty of headspace for them. However, if you had these trellises on the ground, they would not be nearly as tall, though I think that they would still be tall enough for full-size people to walk through. So far, I've grown a lot of things on these trellises. I really like the option of vertical gardening because it really expands the space you have. It's easy to pick things when they're up, and it's beautiful to grow things this way. Just real quick, we're gonna take a look at our trellises, and I'm just gonna show you some of the things that I currently have growing in my garden on the trellises that I'm showing you how to build. These are scarlet runner beans, lima beans. Here are some pole green beans and yellow beans. Down here we have some pickling cucumbers, as well as some slicer cucumbers. Right here is a large winter squash called Warded Incan Cream Puff, and this is actually one seed planted and it's going all over this trellis. Here are some dried pole beans. You can see them. On this trellis we have 2 different kinds of melons. Here on this side is a banana melon, and if you grow large melons such as this one on a trellis, you just have to offer some sort of support. Some people use produce bags, some people use pantyhose. And on this side is a much smaller melon called Collective Farm Woman. On this is another small personal sized melon called Kajari. As you can see, it's got quite a lot and they're doing really well, just hanging. Here we have noodle beans. Down here, I've got a tomato variety called Climbing Triple Crop that is said to vine up to 14 feet, so I went ahead and tried it on one of these trellises. So far, it's only the end of June, and it's already a good ways up. I think it will probably make it to the top of the trellis this year, and it's offering it the perfect support because these are very heavy laden plants. And again, on this trellis, I've got a couple different kinds of cucumbers. As you can see, there's some pickling cucumbers, and over here, some Armenian white. And my last arched trellis right here has some beans on this side, which are kind of a pole runner type bean. And then on this side, I've got some really young cucamelons, but they will grow like wild and cover this side as well. We actually already have 13 arched trellises in our very large garden now, but we went and got one more cattle panel for the last space that we could put one, because I really wanted to do a video to show you guys how we put these together, because we get asked about it so much. So my handy homesteading husband has incurred an injury.
Catching a goat.
Catching a goat, so he is on the mend. We're waiting to hear some results back on that, and we're hoping that it's not a big deal. So we have asked Daniel to come over from next door to drive these T-posts so I can take this video and we can show you guys how to do this. You guys ready? Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So this is gonna be the same whether you're doing this in raised beds or in the ground. It's the same process. So you're gonna go ahead and drive your first T-post in the ground with the notches facing you. You wanna leave a little bit of space here with the raised bed because we're going to pull the panel down, and you want to have room to plant it on the inside.
A little tip: do not go too far up with this, because if you do, it will come down and bust you in the head.
Ask him how he goes.
Safety first.
Okay, so we've got one T-post driven into the ground, and we've just butted this cattle panel up into it, and this is typically a two-person job. And you begin bending it down, and we're gonna put it in place on the other side. At this point, one person holds this cattle panel in place while the other person puts the T-post in, butts it up right against it. Now remember, we are leaving space here between the panel and the bed because we want to be able to plant our plants on the inside of that panel. And now we're gonna drive this post in right there and secure the other side of the cattle panel. Okay, so now it's secure between here, and now we just want to line it up and make sure that the T-post is pretty much in the middle of the panel. And at this point, we'll just go ahead and secure that cattle panel to the T-post on both sides with zip ties. There's not really an exact science to this, just make it stay.
You want to talk about what class zip ties those are?
You're going to have to tell me what class of zip ties they are, because I do not know that.
I think I just made that up.
Probably
a class B, dash 72.
I just made something up.
Yeah.
Do I ever do that?
I mean, you're good at improvising. There probably is like some kind of grade on them, but I don't care. They're black zip ties you buy them at Home Depot.
We
got 1,000
pack
for $20
at Home Depot for $20.
And we probably use like 500 of them.
I think probably, like 80% of our farm is held together by zip ties.
I know our cars are.
I really hope that's not true.
But you can't use zip ties instead of bolts? I just use like 12 zip ties.
It really is that simple. Are you gonna test it out?
Yeah, it's good.
So it's solidly in there. At this point, we could plant it. I'm gonna wait for fall planting because obviously I have enough stuff growing already for the summer. But these are super easy to do. At the end of the year, whenever you are done with your growing season. If you are planning on reconfiguring your garden, you know, trading out where things are planted, these are super easy to take down. You can lay the cattle plant panels flat and set them back up the next year, or if you want to leave them up, they do fine. We've had a couple of ours that have been standing for a couple of seasons now, and some of them we took down and then put back up this year. That's really just preference, and however you plant your garden, whatever works for you. And really briefly, I'm just going to show you just a couple of the other ways we use cattle panels. Here we've taken some cattle panels and we've cut them into thirds, put two of the pieces together, fastened at the top with a zip tie and stuck in. Here's another TP, built the exact same way with cucumber melons on one side and tomatoes on the other. Here we have taken just one long cattle panel and used 3 T-posts to attach it. We've grown peas on this. Right now it's got a couple of beans, and down on the end a cucumber. Some more cattle panel pieces here. These are just some smaller posts. These have tomato plants on them. And this is just a piece that is actually a third of a panel that we put upright. We grew peas on it a couple months ago. And here are the trellises we did for our tomatoes this year, which I did another video showing how these are made. These are cattle panels and they're long ways, but they have about 18 inches underneath. So they are attached to these T-posts about 18 inches up so that they have more vertical space for tomatoes to climb upwards. There you go. This is a really great way to add functionality to your garden. By vertical gardening, you eliminate sickness, you make it easier to harvest things because they're right there in front of you, and just all together add a lot of beauty to the garden. And with cattle panels, it's relatively easy to do and quite affordable. So I hope that helps somebody, and we will see you guys next time. Happy gardening.